This week marks Sunshine Week, a period every year that focuses on transparency in government. And to mark this week, there is going to be an event for our Southern California audience on Sunday at the Santa Monica Bay Women's Club, featuring my guest Trevor Timm, whom we are trying to contact right now for an interview, and Daniel Ellsberg of the Pentagon Papers. He's, of course, the famous whistleblower from the Vietnam War era, and the two of them will be speaking at an event at the Santa Monica Bay Women's Club, and you can get tickets at kpfk.org. Again, this is for our Southern California listeners. I will be at that event as well. Well, it was highly ironic that President Obama, whose administration boasts of being the most transparent in history, chose this Monday to officially announce he would be exempt from Freedom of Information Act requests. The Office of the Administration, which provides broad administrative support for the White House, was originally shielded from FOIA requests by President George W. Bush, who made it an unofficial policy. After years of lobbying by activists who wanted Obama to overturn that policy, he instead made it permanent. Meanwhile, controversy still continues over Hillary Clinton's private email account. The person who could possibly be the next president was able to shield herself from FOIA requests of her communications during her time as Secretary of State. My guest is Trevor Timm, co-founder and executive director of Freedom of the Press Foundation, journalist, activist, and lawyer who writes a twice-weekly column for The Guardian on privacy, free speech, and national security. He's contributed to The Atlantic, Al Jazeera, Foreign Policy, Harvard Law and Policy Review, PBS Media Shift, and Political. Welcome to Uprising, Trevor. Can you explain how it is even possible for a president to simply say they won't comply with FOIA? How was Bush able to do it, and how is Obama making the Office of Administration permanently exempt from FOIA requests?
Well, there's always been some controversy about communications between the president and his staff and about how that actually relates to FOIA. You know, the Freedom of Information Act was passed to essentially allow people to get records from executive agencies, but the controversy has always been over the White House. But there have been White House offices that have accepted FOIA requests for decades. So, for example, the National Security Council, which is the group of people that advise the president on national security issues, took FOIA requests for decades. And so did the Office of Administration, which actually is the archiver of all White House emails. And you know, the Bush administration decided quite suddenly, when there was the, if you remember, the attorney firing scandal involving Karl Rove and the politicization of the U.S. Attorney's Office, they deleted millions of emails, and there was FOIA lawsuits to try to get them to reveal what they still had. And all of a sudden, the Bush administration said that actually this office isn't required to comply with FOIA, despite the fact that they've been doing it for decades. And they actually got a court to agree with them. But when the Obama administration came into office, you know, President Obama had promised the most transparent administration in history, and many people thought that he would, even though the court said that he couldn't or he didn't have to comply with FOIA, that he would still accept FOIA requests. And unfortunately, you know, they've gone the complete opposite direction and have deleted the FOIA regulations from their website and are saying that now there is no way that they would be accepting FOIA requests permanently for this office. So, you know, it's just another disappointment when it comes to the Obama administration and transparency.